So I made a video game. Waning Sea of Flame, which is like an upgrade, overhaul, expansion pack for the first game, and then Waning the Rite of Spring. So I guess technically 2.5 games is what I like to say. I had an idea for this video for a while, and I even have a script that's about half done, which I might be referencing throughout, I'm not really sure. But I decided to change it up a little bit because my circumstances are not the best right now. This last year has been fraught with abuse and trauma and death and loss and heartbreak and all kinds of uncertainty, and the self-loathing is up and raging, and the self-love is really in the toilet. So just being able to go back and see a bunch of the stuff that I created and look back on it and think about a time when I really felt like I'd done something special and meaningful, it helps. It helps me just feel that much better about myself, I think. So I wanted to share some of that with the world and just say, hey, you know, this is the thing I did, and I think it's pretty cool. I hope you guys also appreciate it. Not everyone can access this, but for the people who can, I hope they find some joy in it.
Dreams, fantasies, ideas. Where do they go when life brings you tumbling back to the now? One by one, they drift away to the cosmic imagisphere. From the atomic to the galactic, they dance and they whirl unfettered by worry and concern. The heavenly ballet of the wonder plane. And sometimes, this dance creates something astonishing. Out pops a transcendental dreamverse, a remarkable place where the real meets the fantastic. And this vast expanse of imagination has a name. They call it LittleBigPlanet.
So this all started with LittleBigPlanet, and I did have a whole scripted ass section going over the history of LittleBigPlanet, how it came out in 2008, how weirdly a lot of 4 games came out in 2008, Grand Theft Auto 4, Persona 4, Metal Gear Solid 4, Devil May Cry 4. I don't know what that was all about, but LittleBigPlanet was a special case scenario because it is a game that, you know, presents itself as a platformer, very simple, child-friendly kind of thing, but it had the tagline play, create, share. And that became a staple of PlayStation's philosophy for a little while. LittleBigPlanet was created by Media Molecule, and this company seems to have this philosophy that everyone is a secret artistic genius. We just need to give them the tools and the platform with which to develop that artistic genius and share it with the world. And so while LittleBigPlanet was not my first foray into creating a video game, that would go to Kyle Bloodshed, Ace Attorney, which I originally made with my own art in, I think, Microsoft Paint, and I made the whole game, tried to program it in RPG Maker XP when that was a thing. I also tried to make a few other games in RPG Maker 2 and RPG Maker 3 when I was a lot younger. I've always wanted to make a video game, and I was just looking for the right ideas and looking for the right tools to do it. RPG Maker 2 was a little too intense and dense for me to penetrate. Then there was RPG Maker 3, which was a lot more user-friendly, but almost to its detriment. There was just a lot less choice, a lot less freedom with the kind of game you could make. Then I tried some of the PC versions, RPG Maker XP, which I'm not even sure if that was an official version, but then LittleBigPlanet came around and kind of revolutionized everything. Now the quirk with LittleBigPlanet is that when you make a game in it, while it was made to be able to create stuff, it was all very basic. And so as far as coding logic goes, it was all physics-based, meaning you had to put tags on physical objects and have gravity and other physical forces cause those tags to interact with other objects. So for instance, you could put a tag on a spoke that was rotating around a wheel that would be able to be used for things like boss logic, having different phases and different mechanics and maneuvers and whatnot. So what did I use all this incredible technology for? Well, dear viewer, I made 2 different series. One was called Revelations, which was sort of this Metal Gear Solid inspired stealth series, and the other was a Zelda fan game. Oh boy. So the Zelda fan game came first, and it's rough. It's definitely very rough. I really thought I was cooking with this one. And it's got the typical LittleBigPlanet amateur designer kind of stuff in it, like a lot of just weird random puzzles that don't make any sense, a lot of just random objects and shapes strewn about an otherwise empty level to give the appearance of game design. Now, in this footage I captured, I'm replaying this on LittleBigPlanet 3, which is a shit game, and I don't like it. LittleBigPlanet 3 was made by Sumo Digital, and it was glitchy and broken and would sometimes just delete your profile data for no reason. But it is the only way I have access to these older games that I created, so this is what we're using. It also breaks some of the games because I think the physics don't quite work the same, and some of the logic doesn't quite work the same. One of the later puzzles in my Revelations game just straight up doesn't work anymore. But as you can see, it really doesn't matter. I don't think there is a best version of these games. Like, look at this shit. Don't jump down, jump across these platforms. Like, what the fuck is this game design? And then you do it and some random platform just spawns in, and there you go. I think I was around 15 when LittleBigPlanet came out, so I had to be around that age when I made this. But I should have known better, though. I suppose you could say everyone's got to start somewhere. And honestly, the Revelations games that I did do show evolution and progress of my ability to shape ideas. But this is really rough. You have to appreciate the artistic cohesion here of just having an actual bicycle wheel chase Link down this random forest. I think at this point I was just happy that I could make anything. So it felt good knowing that I was able to do this. So unfortunately there are many different levels for this, and each level has a sort of gadget that you'll unlock. The first one doesn't have anything because it's just the beginning level. But as you go along, you get the hook shot ? You get Epona ? You get bombs and bomb arrows ? And I thought I was doing this cool thing by allowing each gadget to be accessible from the beginning of the level after you unlocked it.
You think you've won, didn't you? Vengeance will be mine!
This is fascinating. I don't even have anything to say, really. I'm just kind of amazed. When I listen to some of the old music I've created, I can sort of get it, right? Even if it's not a good song, I can understand the themes I was going for, the phrases, the harmonies. I can understand what I was getting at, even if I didn't execute it properly. But this is something else, man. Now we move on to Act 3, Old Comrade. You'll never guess who the old comrade is. I was so preoccupied with whether or not I could that I didn't stop to ask if I should. The idea is that Epona is injured, so yes, you have to drag an injured Epona around this stupid fucking level for minutes upon minutes to progress. And I really don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I thought this was good in any sort of way. You have to like you have to like flip Epona around. Epona's dragging on her back. I'm the Great Fairy. No, you're not. Don't lie to me. These little chain things are supposed to be the hook shot because in this game specifically, there was no way to make your own power-ups. They would add that in Little Big Planet 2. I think what's worse about this boss is that you can't even really tell what you're trying to do. You're just constantly raising on these hook shot things, hoping that you're doing something. But by the end of it, Epona is fixed, sort of, and you get access to bomb arrows. Yep, that's Epona all right. And this is my way of having story pacing, was just putting a bunch of random walls and hook shots, quote unquote. It doesn't really get any better from here. It's the same bullshit. I do long for the world where I had so little shame that I would put something out like this and think it was good and worth playing. Now I spend years upon years on anything that I create, and I never put anything out because I want it to be so good and so meaningful and to have as few mistakes as possible. And they still have mistakes. I still fuck shit up all the time. So it's like, why do I even bother? Uh-oh, we died. Time to do that entire level over. Hell yeah, dude. I mean, say what you want. My game was like the Dark Souls of Legend of Zelda fan games. There's also something here about the beauty of abstraction. I say, hey, you've unlocked the power gloves or whatever, and it's really just a bunch of dissolvable materials that you grab and they automatically get destroyed. And it's like, yeah, that's the power gloves. What I find most disappointing is how bad the story is. It's just a bunch of random shit. This symbol represents the Triforce, but it's fake. So keep going and fight this moth creature. It's like I knew I had to have a story in it. And I would write stories at this time. So I knew I liked stories. I knew I liked storytelling. But this is like below my level, even for the time. I believe this is the final level. I also believe it's broken and unfinishable. What's interesting about this is where I first started understanding how to have multiple boss phases. And so you can see, like I said before, the rotating spoke, which when the tag on the rotating spoke gets to a certain position, the boss will do a different attack. And that's important for the quote-unquote puzzle of it, is to get to the boss's higher platform so you can destroy the rest of its brains. I think I have a pretty good case for suing Nintendo. These bosses are all just gigantic machines. You know, what is Breath of the Wild if not a game with these giant machine bosses that are scales bigger than the player? And I think the Divine Beasts were my idea, and Nintendo just straight up pilfered it from me, and I think that's pretty grotesque and unconscionable, and I should probably sue. And so yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think this final boss was broken because there was no way to, for some reason, destroying the brains of the boss did not progress the stage. After a while, I figured out how to go into edit mode and try to learn what the problems were with these levels. With the Ganondorf one, I don't know. It just seemed like it wasn't fucking working. I don't even know how any of this logic works anymore. I tried to fix it, but just ended up deleting the bosses and the barriers so that we could just see the monumental epic ending of my Legend of Zelda fan game the way it was meant to be experienced. Oh man, Ganondorf has really let himself go. Oh dear God. We freed the Great Fairy, we destroyed the Triforce or whatever, and we did it. That was probably the greatest Legend of Zelda fan game that's ever existed. So then we look at my game Revelation, which is a lot more cinematic, and I did really kind of evolve my level of understanding of Little Big Planet. I definitely tried some newer ideas that felt fresh and felt a little more coherent than my Legend of Zelda game. And I was also able to make use of more tools like the Metal Gear Solid and the Pirates of the Caribbean pack. So I was able to use water and a gun and other things like that to just make the whole experience feel more like a game. Whatever you say about me, it's obvious that I wear my influences on my sleeve. And I did, for this Revelation series, have a greater sense of what it meant to design a level, what it meant to have a sense of progression and mechanics, and a sense that the character was actually doing something that made sense. I could see myself developing a sense of how to build machines, not just putting a bunch of shapes around the level, but actually having them feel weighty and feel like they exist in the world. Even just having an elevator respond to a button or open its doors when it gets close to the player felt like an achievement. Having this little counterweight balancy thing go down when you put a bunch of weights in this little crate felt like I was really building something. I was starting to understand how to build systems. I remember being extremely proud of this level, Revelations Act 4, when I had finally finished it. Just the boss felt like I've spent a lot of time on it. A lot of the machines and a lot of the different ways that the level develops and moves over time felt like a real achievement. And going along, I would try to get a little more creative with a lot of the objects I made, more elevators, more little tools and gadgets that had specific functions that felt like it took a lot of thought and creativity to put together. And the highlight of all of this is this stupid fucking boat. That I spent so long on, and I felt so proud about the physics, the way that the cannon works, the way that the boat sways back and forth, and how it actually can move you from place to place. I thought I was a genius for creating this. So this is like a basketball mini game, and I do remember it working at one point. I'm not sure if Little Big Planet 3 broke it or whatever, but basically you would have to make 3 shots, and if you made 3 shots you could progress. I spent a long time working on this mini game. I don't know why I put it in the game, but it was just, because I could, I suppose. But it's broken here in Little Big Planet 3, and I'm not entirely sure why. For some reason, it just never resolves. It never keeps track of how many points you've made. It just seems like something's not sending a signal to something, and that might have to do with how Little Big Planet 3 changed the way tags and sensors work. That worries me about a Dreams 2 if they ever do make it and it's backwards compatible. How many original Dreams would still be functional with the new logic and the new gameplay? But in any case, we do what we always do and just delete shit so we can progress. More animals being grievously harmed in the making of this video game. And then we get back to the boat, and there's an actual boat boss fight. Like, I did this. This is a thing I did, and I felt so proud about. It shows promise, I think. And I think that's what still to this day kind of fascinates me about this is like, yeah, I did spend the hours trying to figure out how to make this boat move like a boat and how to make this serpent thing function like a boss. And it was buggy and weird and janky, but like I did do this thing, and it feels like that's an accomplishment in and of itself. Then naturally the next progression is to start using real water, start making use of the water mechanics and physics that they added with the Pirates of the Caribbean DLC. I'm not sure if I learned this from somewhere or if I taught myself, but I figured out somehow how to add sequenced codes into my games, puzzles that require a very specific sequence for you to progress. I'm pretty sure I had to have learned it from somewhere because I don't think I would have just figured it out on my own, but like, I was trying to have a sense of structure and pacing and an actual logic. Here I got really lost on this super obtuse puzzle involving the water and having to drop a bridge and jump across with the gun, which goes away if you hit the water. And then the serpent comes back with a vengeance. Like, you know, you can't say I don't have a flair for the dramatic. And that was Revelations. I do believe I had more ideas, like more stuff that I wanted to do with it, more levels that I wanted to make, but I never got around to them. You know, we came a long way. I had this other level called Ruins of Naught. I don't know what this is. I've come a long way, you know, from Ganondorf to the Serpent to, or the prototype, I suppose, to Adam in Sea of Flame. I mean, and Delphin. I gotta say, you know, for what it's worth, I have evolved, and I think I've evolved in the correct direction.